Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com. In this video, we're looking at a great dive watch from Rado for smaller wrists with the Rado Captain Cook automatic blue dial on a beads of rice bracelet. So in this video and on this channel, we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, as a full authorized dealer. So in this video, deep dive on this timepiece, final points of consideration at the end, but also throughout this video, if you have further questions, check out the link in the description down below where you can learn more, purchase the watch, and book a time with one of our dedicated watch specialists as well. But guys, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch. So when looking at some of the more underrated brands in Swiss watchmaking, I think Rado needs to be a part of the conversation. And one of the models that have really helped rejuvenate the brand in the eyes of many collectors is that of the Captain Cook. Their everyday dive style watch that incorporates many of the same elements of the original release back in 1962 and paying homage there, while also offering up some eclectic type of designs and use of case materials. Today we have a model that's going to really pay reverence back to the original model in the way of its actual case profile, coming in at 37 millimeters, this one coming in a striking blue dial with kind of this gradient type effect at the dial's perimeter. So let's take a closer look. To begin here, let's speak to the wearing dimensions of this piece. When this watch was initially unveiled again several years ago, it was initially launched in a 37 millimeter case variant. Now we have a wide variety of different dial colors and options of this case size, and if I had to pick my favorite of the 37 millimeter options, this would be the one. 37 millimeters is your diameter with a lug to lug of 43 millimeters and sits flat, one of the best aspects of the Captain Cook, coming in at 11.3 millimeters in height, even when keeping into account that box sapphire crystal that's going to be on top. In totality, the watch wears rather true to its 37 millimeter case size, if not a little bit smaller, as a byproduct of the lug-to-lug dimension being rather condensed for that case dimension. The beads of rice bracelet's only going to assist this further with how it's going to shoot straight down from the spring bars, not going to add anything more to that lug-to-lug end. Looking more specifically at the case itself, it's going to feature mostly polished elements on the side of the case, on top of the lugs, as well as on the crown and in the beads of rice bracelet at the center with those central links that allow this one to have its defined style and name associated. Along the outside edge of that bracelet, you do have two larger broad brush links that are going to cast all the way down the tapered bracelet that's going to taper down to a 16 millimeter clasp at the underside. It's going to be accented with some vertical line striping on top of that very slim clasp that's also going to feature the Rado logo on top. A couple points about the bracelet: is going to be pin adjusted, so that might be a downside here, as well as no micro adjustment in the clasp. This is a common point of criticism when looking at these Rado Captain Cooks. Otherwise though, a very solid bracelet and certainly worth considering. Now looking at the crown here, it is going to be rather small for a dive watch standard, especially with this 37 millimeter case here. It is not going to be of the screw down variety, but this one is still worthy of 100 meters of water resistance for its rating, so it certainly should still do the job. At the first position, you can hand wind the movement. At the second position, you then can adjust the date. And at the farthest pulled out point, you then can adjust the time while stopping the second hand in the process, so hacking seconds here. So now a couple other points and some defining characteristics of the Captain Cook, one being that slanted bezel along the outside. It's going to be of the 120 click variety. It includes a ceramic blue insert with a glossy texture to it. This glossiness and approach to the flare affiliated with this design of insert is going to be an elevated and more modern take on a very retro 1960s style design, which I think looks great and works in tandem with the dial at the center to have some nice contrast. The bezel action is quite good, does have a minor bit of play. It's going to have some nice tactile feedback in the process with those 120 clicks and is unidirectional. Looking within the box sapphire crystal, which is treated with anti-reflective coating to provide a clear view, you're getting some slight distortion on the outside edge, but very minimal compared to a lot of other watches utilizing a box sapphire crystal on the front. The dial itself is going to have a subtle sunburst effect that almost looks as if it's going to transition to black at certain angles. It does have a way of playing tricks on you when examining this blue dial. Along the outside, you do have a minute track that's going to be seated vertically on the rehaut. Stepping inward, you then have large printed areas for the Superluminova material. Lume on this piece is not going to be the greatest and is going to be in limited supply, but the larger surface area of the marker anchors, as well as the hands at the center with that broad arrow hand, large tip on the second hand, and that pencil style minute hand is going to assist with this. At the 3 o'clock position, you have a date window that's going to feature a silver background with red text, and then the Rado logo is going to be positioned at the 12 o'clock with the anchor atop, also featuring that conventional, but also cool if you've never seen it before, anchor rotation that will allow it to settle at several different points when you rotate it on your wrist. Now flipping the watch over, we do have a solid screw down case back that's going to feature an array of seahorses and stars that has that nautical theme attached to this watch. But hidden beneath that case back is the automatic C07611, a modified version of the ETA 2824. So this movement is featured in many different Captain Cooks, different Rado models, and just other members of the Swatch group and different brands. The main point around this movement that allows it to have a tremendous amount of upside is going to be the power reserve of 80 hours. How they're able to accomplish this is dropping the beat frequency from 4 Hz, 28,800 vibrations per hour, to 3 Hz, 21,600 vibrations per hour. And with these modifications, they move away from the traditional regulating pin setup. But when testing these movements, typically you're finding them running in the single digits off from perfect time of day when testing at 5 different positions. This particular one here was running just 2 seconds off from perfect time of day when testing underneath those specific points of reference. To unpack on this movement, you're looking at 21,600 vibrations per hour, 3 Hz. It does feature hacking and hand winding and has a power reserve of 80 hours. So now looking at this Rado Captain Cook automatic with a blue dial at 37 millimeters. Again, a lot of the same things that I stated earlier, just wanted to echo here. Rado and the Captain Cook, I think it's a great watch, overlooked, I would say, for the price range in which it occupies, but I think where it really does separate is with these 37 millimeter options. Some of them I think are going to be positioned more as unisex watches, which I think scares some people away. You're talking about men that are looking to own these watches, but if you're looking for one that probably is not going to have any fear of ever being classified in that manner while still offering up great wearability, I would look at this blue dial version. I like the aqua blue that comes with this design. Talking about 37 millimeter case, 43 millimeter lug to lug, and thin on the wrist, which I think is a huge upside when looking at dive watches out there that I don't think gets mentioned enough. 11.3 millimeters for thickness of a watch that's going to have 100 meters of water resistance, and in the cases of the larger 42 millimeter versions, that's going to jump up to 300 meters of water resistance. So you're not really sacrificing much there. Movement's going to be no nonsense, 80-hour power reserve, reliable. I think it's going to offer some good accuracy out of the box based on my own experience with these movements and handling many of these watches and owning a Captain Cook myself. No micro adjustment in the clasp is going to be a downside. The bracelet is good, it's comfortable, but getting that precise fit can be difficult for some depending on your wrist size. But I think one of the big challenges with the Captain Cook is just the competition. Around $2,000, there's a lot of dive watches to choose from some great brands. But when you're talking about this one and its position with power reserve, case mostly with its size, I think that's what really makes this one a bit more compelling, even compared to some of the other Captain Cooks out there. All right, guys, well, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon when future content is posted. Also, if you're in the market for this watch, check it out on teddybaldassarre.com. We're a full authorized dealer of over 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, also offer a full factory warranty for all of the new products that we carry, and a new pre-owned section as well, where we have some of the best and curated watches authenticated by our team and tested in-house. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.